Yo, what's good, guys? It's been a long time since I've done a YouTube video, so I think today is a good time to do another one because I managed to take a trade in which I made 1.1k with a total points of 215. So I will also just give you guys a high time frame narrative and high time frame analysis of the current market conditions and market structure, and then also give you guys a breakdown of the lower time frame entry triggers I used and everything. So let's get straight to the high time frame. So first, I want to speak about the high time frame structure and high time frame narrative at the moment. We trade power of threes, so we definitely want to see a manipulation, and we want to see a manipulation lower because we want, the S&P always moves higher, so we want a bullish year on the S&P, and so we need a manipulation lower, obviously. So we are doing that at the moment, and my main focus or my main draw on liquidity is this monthly gap. It is also the start of the sell-side curve of last year. I can also see price hitting this monthly gap because it also aligns with equilibrium of the whole expansion since the manipulation of last year. But we'll see the confirmation by SMTs at these lows. So my high time frame narrative is obviously lower for the manipulation. So what I was presented with today before I traded is I looked at the charts overnight and I saw we accumulated lower, which I expected because as I said, I want to see lower prices. But then at 11 a.m. or 11:05 or 7:05, I'm sorry, and we saw a big move higher just due to Trump saying that he won't attack Iran for the next 5 days, and they have done some discussion, but I'm not really too well known in this aspect. So if you want to know anything more about that, you can look it up on the internet, obviously. So that is why this move higher was presented, and then I thought, okay, we have a extremely high points candle, the hourly point candle. And what do we usually have after like a big expansion? We always have a big retrace too. So I marked out the equilibrium of the whole expansion candle, or the not really data candle, but the whole hourly candle in which all the news came out. And as you can see, we retraced perfectly into equilibrium. And so that was my main drawn liquidity for today, just equilibrium of the whole move due to, as I said, we should see a big retracement after a big expansion. But let's get on to the low time frame entry triggers I use and the low time frame structure in which I built my entry. Before I do that though, some of you guys in the Discord server might have realized that we mainly trade at 11 a.m. at the moment, and that is simply because of the time change at the moment. And the time change happened at New York, so the contract changed. And Germany, I live in Germany, so the time change will adapt at the 29th of March. Before then, the market opens 1 hour earlier for me, and I'm still in school, so it is a bit hard for me to trade New York market open. So we usually come home at 10:30, and yeah, after that we can trade 11 a.m. and everything. Now, why specifically 11 a.m.? You can see the volume start kicking in at 11 a.m. And why is it that? It is simply, if we look at the quarters here, it is the start of the new 90-minute quarter. So we trade the 90-minute power of 3 at the moment. And 11 a.m. is just the perfect 30-minute power of 3, or the low time frame power of 3, which starts in Q2, so the manipulation and the distribution quarter. So that is a perfect example of a low time frame PO3 aligned with quarterly quarters, or quarterly theory quarters. That's better phrased. So now coming into the low time frame analysis though, we saw market open, and what did we do at market open? We put in a unlike biased candle. It has wicks to the both sides, and as I said, I can trade New York market open, so I wasn't really interested in that. But I saw something when I looked at the charts at 10:30. we had no manipulation below the 9:30 wick. And that is really rare, and that we end the day with no manipulation above or below wick of the 9:30 open. So as you can see, that was also my draw, my full take profit. As I said, my draw was equilibrium, but Monday is my lowest performing day, so I just wanted to secure some profits, and that's why I full take profit at 9:30. My first take profit though was at the Q1 microcycle DFR low. For those who know what that is, good. For those of you who don't, it is advanced QT concept, so I won't get into depth of that. And so that was my take profit 1, and the high was protected due to a 90-minute SSMT, or a time-based SMT for those of you who don't trade quarterly theory. After that, we had the confirmations I wanted to see at specific time frames, and then I sadly got break even at my first trade, and I'll show you where I entered. I entered at the close of the 15-second CSD right here. My full take profit there was the microcycle DFR low, but I might have moved it, I don't know, but that was my initial plan. I got break even here. Why did I go break even so early? We had a time-based cracking correlation with YM here, and YM filled the 5-minute fair value gap, which was here, and NQ failed to do it, so I could see price re-sweep those highs, so I just wanted to secure it for today, that I won't get stopped out on that trade. So I got break even here by one trade. As you can see, this trade would have been take profits, but I'm happy that it didn't, because that made me re-entry after price moved up to equilibrium of the whole expansion, and we built a SMTF at this candle high. Why specifically at this? We can't see any fair value gaps here. That is due to NQ not creating one. Though if you look at YM, I'll open YM quick. YM created the fair value gap right here. And what did we also do? We filled the fair value gap perfectly. So that means that MNQ or NQ failed to create a fair value gap here, which is a cracking correlation at its own, but then failed to put a higher high at this candle. So that was my entry trigger, which I thought, okay, we should go lower now. Then I had another 1-minute cracking correlation, which made me drop down to the 15-second, in which I took the first 15-second CSD that was presented. So that was my entry. Again, I had a really early break even. Was that we saw much volume, like after this whole accumulation and this slow accumulation, we had good volume. And why should I risk my trades with like a break even here or here if we have so much volume? If we go below this and move back to my entry with that much volume, I see price definitely re-sweeping that high. So I wanted to see price inverse this gap with the same volume we had on the downwards move and the upwards move. So that was why my why my break even was where it is. And yeah, after that, take profit 1 and take profit 2, which made me full take profit. And now, why didn't I really want to see that high get reswept again? It is simply we had good time-based SMTs at the highs here, and I want to see this high get taken out tomorrow for the manipulation for the week and to then move lower. Maybe we'll do that, I don't know, but I don't need to predict the markets. We all know we don't predict the markets, we adapt to the markets. So we had good SMTs. If you don't see any SMT here, it is because you are lacking of information of quarterly theory. We had a SMT here. I won't get into depth of why we had one here, but we had one. And after seeing a double stage, not a double stage, but a double 90-minute SSMT at the highs, and some on the power 3s, everything aligns. That was my confirmation of my journal liquidity, which was lower. So yeah, that's where I entered. So I just hope the small trade recap today helped you understand why I took this trade, and maybe helped you realize why you also want to trade, why you got break evens, or why you have taken a loss. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. I will make sure to answer them, or if you want to ask them us personally, you can also just join our Discord server. I will link it down in the comments, so I will send the link in the comments. And yeah, I hope, as I said, I helped you. Have a nice day now. Bye bye, guys.